Hello world, I'm Maya Sendermeyer, and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series. So far, I have been able to share my own experiences with you guys on what it's like for me to live with Asperger's syndrome. A second thing that I do is I like to cover topics that I'm passionate about. A third area would be giving my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media. A third thing, or fourth thing that I do is I like to give tips and advice to individuals on the spectrum and to their friends and their families and their peers and their mentors. And before I dive into this evening's topic, what I would like to do first is recommend this great resource right here on YouTube by blankandblank.com. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Grandin, and I ended up stumbling upon a new video through Blank on Blank that does animated interviews with different people, and they did an animated one with Dr. Grandin, and there are lots of drawings and illustrations about her work and how the way she sees the world. So be sure to check that out. And what I would like to do in this video is mention two things, and I don't really want to get you think that I'm complaining, but at the same time I want to let you know that I'll be more straightforward in this video. And I know some of you on here might be a little more offended at what I'm about to say, but I really think it needs to be brought forward because it's an issue that's bothering me. And the second thing that I'm going to do is give tips and advice to you on the autism spectrum, and I'm going to speak to your parents and your family members, and I'm also going to be talking to the caregivers and life coaches as well. And what I'd like to start off by saying is that I've noticed that there are lots of people with mild autism and mild Asperger's syndrome like myself. They've been able to clear for independence and live in an apartment setting or own their own condominium or have roommates like them. And it just sounds so wonderful. But what I'm noticing first and foremost is that they're having parents or guardians and even caregivers and life coaches basically holding their hands when they've moved out on their own. And some of the things that I've seen are that, yes, they have their own apartments, but they have a roommate situation where, let's say, one person wants to have their friends over, and it's on a Sunday night, and they have a roommate that is contacting a life coach for the person having the party or having the friends over for a game night. And instead of actually going forward and saying, hey, this is a really bad idea, you should have talked to me first, it's up to the life coach or the caregiver to be the mediator for them. And they contact them back and forth rather than having them communicate and work things out themselves. And in addition to that, this life coach is basically setting all the rules for them, is like when the person can or cannot have their friends over and how they should have their friends over, and some of the other things that I've noticed is that some of these parents and life coaches, they're still coddling their kids. I know that they're worried about being taken advantage of, and I know that living out on their own is a new thing, but come on, that's holding their hand a little bit too much, and in a way that's keeping somebody down and possibly being too overprotected. One of the things I think with independence is it's a really big step. I understand that, but I think that if you're going to live independently, you need to be taught in advance. You need to possibly have a life coach teach you how to communicate with roommates and have you practice with a roommate situation and possibly go out and meet the roommates. That's just silly. And then some of the other things I've noticed with these life coaches and these parents is they're going over to the apartment and helping their own kid cook a meal on a regular basis. They're not even sending them to any cooking classes. They're not teaching them how to pay their bills. They're sending them someplace to live, but they're not even letting them make the decisions for themselves. And I'm very concerned about that because, the sky's the limit here. And I think that's the point of this conversation. And in order for the sky to be the limit, some of these kids need to be taught beforehand what should and shouldn't happen. Like in the case of the roommate scenario where the life coach is going to intervene for them and tell them how to do things. They need to be taught that certain situations are inappropriate versus not inappropriate, and they need to be sitting down with the roommates first and writing down an agreement and all the lists and all the rules. And I don't think that's too hard. And another area that I'm noticing with these life coaches and these other supports for those living independently, they're living their lives for them. They are taking them into work rather than allowing them to ride the bus on their own or learn how to take mobility services or learn how to take Uber or learning to meet people in the community and learn how to carpool. I don't know what you guys think of this, but if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Maya Sundermeyer, and I'm signing off.